Hi and welcome back to my YouTube channel. For today's class, we'll be making an off-shoulder gown with a puffy sleeve. So here is my pattern. So this is the pattern for the upper part of the dress. So I'm going to iron gum stay or pepper stay at the lining part. I iron the gum stay for both the front and the back pattern of the lining. So after this, I'm going to be joining my fabric and I'm also going to be joining my lining pattern together. For the back pattern, I'm going to place the lining facing the fabric, the wrong side of the fabric, and I'm going to sew at the neckline. I won't sew at the armhole, and then I'll sew at the zipper and at this other side. For the front side, I'll be joining the lining part first. So I'm going to take this part and I'm going to sew with half. Then at the other side, I'm going to sew with half also. Going to the front pattern of the material, I'm going to be cutting a soft wadding at this part. So you can also attach your already made cup. That will be after joining the pattern that you have. After that, I'll just place my pattern and I'll sew with half on both sides. After joining my pattern, this is what I'm going to be having for both the lining and the fabric. Next, you're going to get your tailor's ham and you place it underneath it. Then you're going to use your iron and iron the bust or the cup parts very well. You'll be ironing for both the lining and the fabric part. After that, you're just going to place your pattern together and you're going to join it. So after joining, this is what you're going to be having. So the fabric and the lining is supposed to be aligning after joining it. So I'm going to flip it to the other side. As you can see, the lining and the fabric is sitting properly. So the lining and the main fabric is meant to be matching. I also did turn up for my back pattern. So this is what I have and I didn't sew the armhole. I'll just go ahead and I'll turn it to the right side. I'll also do so for the other side of the back pattern. So I'll go ahead and I'm going to insert my darts for the back area. Moving ahead to the down part of the dress. At the lower part of the lining, I minus 2.5 inches. And if you remember in our pattern, I added extra 2 inches for turn up. So what I will do is to spread open what I have at that part. So when sewing, I'm going to take the down part of the lining and I'm going to place it to the down part of the fabric. And I will go ahead and I will sew with half inch at the down part. I've joined the lining with the skirt with half inch at the lower part. So remember that you added 2 inches for turn up allowance. So you're going to place your tape. After sewing out that half inch, you have 1.5 inch remaining. So you're just going to mark that 1.5 inch remaining after sewing out half inch. So I'll say it again for clarity's sake. So we marked out 2 inches for turn up at the down part of your skirt. So you use half to join it with the lining and then you mark 1.5. At that 1.5 mark, you're going to fold it this way, in the 1.5 at the inner part of your skirt. So when you do that, you notice that your lining and your skirt is going to align together. So I'm going to sew with half inch at both sides. So after sewing, I'm going to iron my lining because it's very rumpled. I was supposed to do that before the tutorial, but there was no light. I'm done doing the turn up for the skirt part of the dress. So this is the front part of the dress that I'm making. So what I'm going to do is to join these parts together. But before joining it together, I'm going to fold this into two and I'll find the middle. Then I'm going to notch. Going over to the skirt part, I'm also going to fold it this way and I'm going to find the center also. Then I'm going to notch. After notching, you're going to place the notch part of the skirt pattern and the upper part of the pattern together. You're going to place the notch part meeting the notched part of this side, and you're going to pin. After pinning, you're just going to sew with half to the end. So after you're done pinning and joining, this is what you're going to be having. So I'll go over to the machine and sew that. Going over to the back part, this is the zipper part of the dress. So I'll place the part that is also the zipper part of the upper part this way, and I'm going to sew with half and join. I will do that for the both sides. I've gone ahead and I've joined my front pattern. This is what I have after joining it. As you can see, it's very neat and is looking good. This is the back pattern of the dress, the zipper area, and I've also joined it together. I'm going to take one side of the dress and I will place it on the other side. After joining it together, I'm going to be pinning the pattern or the dress together, and I'll make sure this part meets. I will take my tape, place it at that joining part, and I'll mark 10 inches from there. So from that 10 inches, I'm going to be marking 1 inch down to the end of the pattern. I'm not going to be inserting a slit to this dress because it ends almost at the knee part. After marking that 1 inch, I'm going to be stitching it up. Then I'm going to insert zip at the upper part of the dress. So I've gone ahead to attach zip at the back part of the dress. Going over to the sleeve part of the dress. So this is the doll face I'm working with, and I folded it, or I placed it on fold. The total length of my doll face is 58 inches. Then I folded it into two. So the person I'm making the dress for wants the sleeve to be very puffy. So if you want a moderate sleeve, yours won't be this lengthy. So I cut out 58 inches by 17. I'll place my tape at this point and I'll mark 4 inches. Then I'll place it back and I'm going to mark 4 inches. From that place, I'm just going to connect, drawing a curve like an armhole that will serve as my armhole later. Then I will take my scissors and I will cut it out. After cutting out that part, the next thing I'm going to do at this point is to notch the middle. After notching that part, I'm going to be sewing my band to it. So to know how to get your band, you're just going to measure this point from these parts of your body to the other end. After measuring, I have 8 inches and I'm going to be adding half to both sides. After adding it, I'll have 9 inches. So I cut out 9 inches on fold, so I have 4.5. The total measurement I used for my band was 9 by 5 inches. That's 2.5 on fold. And I cut out for the both sides. So the next thing you're going to do is just to fold it and get the notch, and also notch it just like you notched the doll face, just to get the center so that you will have equal folding at both sides. I'm going to go over to the sewing machine and I'm going to run a gather stitch. After running a gather stitch, I'm going to take the band and I'm going to sew it together just this way. Then I'm going to bring it and show you my final results. So here you have it. I'm done sewing my sleeve. So the next step I'm going to take is just to attach the sleeve to my dress. I'm going to be attaching the sleeves to the both sides. So at the lower part, I folded in this part to encase my elastic band. So you're going to be attaching it with half, just this way for both the front and the back side of the dress. Then I'll go over to the sewing machine and I'm just going to stitch it up, and I will bring it and show you what I have done. I'm done stitching it for the both sides, and this is what I have. This is what is looking like at this point. Next, I'm going to be inserting my elastic inside the casing that I've made. Then I will go ahead and pin it all through, and I'll mark my measurements. So next I'll be inserting all my vertical measurements, and I'll be adding my body circumference. So you're just going to place your tape back at -4 at the beginning part of your pattern, and you're going to mark your shoulder to bust, shoulder to under bust, then your waist length, and then you're going to mark 7 inches from your waist length to get your hip. Then you're going to insert your vertical measurement for your waist length and your hip. Then going over to the lower part of your dress, you're just going to mark 2 inches at the end at both sides. So the reason why you're marking these 2 inches is to give the dress a fitted look at the lower part. Then you're going to connect the line from your hip to the down part. So remember, we have not marked out our body circumference at the upper parts. I did this because there's a way to shape bustier, which I will be explaining. Going over to my bust, so the measurement I have at my bust, I'm going to divide it by 2. If I divide it by 2, I have 16.3. I'll go ahead and measure the center of the bustier first. After measuring, I have 6 inches. So I'm going to take away 6 inches from that 16.3, and I'm left with 10.3. So the remaining 10.3, I'm going to share it on the other side of the bustier. I have 10.3 inches. Dividing it, I have approximately 5.2. So I'm going to share 5 inch. I'll be leaving the extra 0.2. The reason why I did this is to have a tight effect at the bust area. I'll mark that on both sides. Coming down to my under bust, I'm going to divide my under bust circumference by 2. So what I have left, I'll just measure the center. So just like we did at the bust area, I'm going to measure what I got at this point from what's my initial measurement, and I'm going to share it at both sides, just at the bust area of the dress. Then I'll go down and extend all my measurements, joining it back to my navel or waist length. So after doing that, I'll just take my material to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew. Then I'll sew 1 inch at the sleeve part, and I'm going to connect it down to the gown and then extend it to the lower part of the dress. So after sewing my dress, this is what I have. This is the final look. Please like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and don't forget to turn on the notification button to get new updates from my channel. And thank you for watching.